to cancer. Screening also finds this cancer early, when treatment works best. For me, screening was simple and quick. It was no big deal, except for the huge sense of relief you feel afterwards. There are several tests that you can choose from. If you're 50 or older, you should talk to your doctor. Decide which one's right for you. Take control. Do everything you can to prevent colon cancer. Screening saves lives. It could really save your life. For more information, call 1-800-CDC-INFO.
A message from the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services.
This is Health and Wealth Radio, AM 1470, WWNN Pompano Beach, and WKIS HD3, Boca Raton, Miami, Fort Lauderdale. AM 1470, WNN. Listen live at WWNNradio.com and like us on Facebook. Search AM 1470 WWNN.
Hey, there he is. How's it going?
I'm having a stroke.
Are you going to shake my hand or what?
I'm having a stroke.
Wow, you're not even moving your arm.
I'm having a stroke.
Are you okay?
I'm having a stroke.
Your face looks weird too.
I'm having a stroke.
Are you having a seizure or something?
I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear.
I'm having a stroke.
You just need to know the sudden signs. Look for FAST, F-A-S-T. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. Or S, speech difficulty. Then T, time. Time to call 911 immediately, because the sooner they get to the hospital, the sooner they'll get treatment. And that can make a remarkable difference in their recovery. Know the sudden signs. Face, arm, speech, time. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Happy, healthy, and wealthy. Follow the American dream. On South Florida's AM 1470 WNN.
This is your boy 50 Cent, and I'm here with Scott.
Hi there.
Scott's a true family man, but he might not catch your attention right away, so I'm lending my voice. Now, what happened, Scott?
Well, 50, I never thought it would be me. I was just your everyday middle-class working American. But then I lost my job and still had a family of 4 to feed. I was afraid. You know, I was expecting people to be judgmental about me needing help, but I didn't run into any of that. The food bank is about more than just meals. It's about encouraging and helping people when they need it most.
Today, 1 in 6 Americans don't know where their next meal is coming from. Scott here could be your neighbor, your co-worker, your friend. He's just like you, and you probably don't even know he's struggling. But you can make a difference in Scott's life today. So visit feedingamerica.org/hunger and find a local food bank to help.
I'm Scott.
And I'm 50 Cent. Together we are Feeding America.
A message from Feeding America and the Ad Council.
AM 1470 WNN. Listen live at WWNNradio.com and like us on Facebook. Search AM 1470 WWNN.
I definitely feel like the words veteran and homeless should never go together.
Sergeant Michelle Garcia served meritoriously in Iraq and Afghanistan.
I had friends, and I went and stayed at a friend's house, and then I realized, well, you're staying at your friend's house, but how long can you stay there? Where are you going to go? Where are you going to call home?
Lieutenant Richard Stokely took the skills he learned in Vietnam and put them to use as a paramedic. But after they left the service, these veterans had problems with homelessness. Michelle lost all her savings, and Richard battled alcoholism for years.
It started taking me down, all the way down to the point where I lost my family and I ended up homeless.
A simple phone call to 877-424-3838 put them in touch with the Department of Veterans Affairs. If you are a veteran in need, or you know a veteran who is homeless or at risk of being homeless, call 877-424-3838 or visit va.gov/homeless.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of the station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to the Golf and Travel Show, the place to fine-tune your swing, dress for the course, club, or cruise, and get tips on the best places to play and stay at the right price. Vacation or staycation, host Dan Shub, along with his expert co-hosts and guests, will tell you where to go. To play golf and vacation, that is. Now, here's Dan.
And welcome to the first Golf and Travel Show. I'm your host, Dan Shoup, and as the name indicates, we're going to be talking about golf for a while, and then we're going to move on to a little bit of travel. First, a little bit about me. I've been writing on and hosting golf, travel, entertainment radio programs in South Florida for more than a decade. All that time being a member of the Golf Writers Association of America as well. So when you listen to this show, you can expect to get some golf and travel tips, some giveaways, interesting guests, and we're going to talk a little bit more about our guests in just a minute or so, and my expert co-hosts. And without any further ado, I want to introduce you to who my co-hosts are going to be. And first up is Jerry Augustine. And Jerry brings to us 25 years of experience in the service and hospitality industry. She's currently the president and owner of Sea Dreams Travel in Jupiter. And at Sea Dreams, she's that concierge who can create the perfect vacation for you and your family. Sea Dreams has a very knowledgeable staff, and they've all traveled the world. And her tagline is, your world, your way. And that's exactly what Sea Dreams is all about. So when you listen to the Golf and Travel Show, Jerry's going to prove every week how booking travel yourself is not your easiest route. So why don't you say hello, Jerry?
Thanks, Dan. I'm really excited to be here for our first travel segment and for the next 13 weeks, of course, giving great advice on the perfect vacation with the very best value. Tonight I'm going to talk about National Cruise Week because it is the month of October, and the week of 20th to the 27th is the biggest cruise sale of the year. So we'll have some fun talking to our guests about that.
Well, as we like to say, we're going to talk to everybody while they're here, and then we're going to send them away.
Absolutely.
So that'll be fun. And we're going to hear a little bit more. What's going to happen is we're going to talk a little more golf in the first segment, and then we're going to kind of morph into travel a little bit later on. So we'll hear a little from Jerry maybe in the beginning of the show, but a lot more later on. So stay tuned for Jerry. My other co-host is Jess Frank, and Jess is a PGA teaching professional. He's the owner of the Jess Frank Golf Academy at Boca Dunes Golf and Country Club in Boca Raton. He specializes in on-course instruction with V1 video analysis. I got to tell you, if you have never seen yourself swing on video, that's a real treat. He believes that every lesson and swing is different, and he likes to focus on the scoring part of your game, the short shots that are taught on the course, and that's how you get your confidence. Jess has been playing since the age of 5, teaching as a PGA member since 2001 at area country clubs such as St. Andrews, Boca Lago, and Broken Sound, and just loves to teach and just has a passion for the game. We all know how challenging golf is, and Jess makes it easy for you to learn and excel. And now you can learn from Jess just by listening to the Golf and Travel Show. So, Jess, you going to have a couple of tips for us today?
Absolutely, and thanks, Dan. I'm really excited to be here, and this is going to be a lot of fun, and give you a lot of different tips and advice and drills to help your golf game become more consistent. And today's a perfect day to have our first show because today is National Golf Day. So hopefully everybody got out and played today and enjoyed it. But
how did we make that happen?
I think it was done through the PGA of America and the USGA got together and really just promoted the game. And we're, as a PGA member myself, we're always trying to grow the game of golf, and whether it be new golfers or golfers who have gotten out of the game and want to get back in, my passion is to help people enjoy the game, teach them the game, and mostly, if I can get them on the golf course, that's where they really learn and enjoy how to play. And today, I'm going to give you a little, if you're looking to hit the ball a little bit farther, I'm going to help you with that. And so, my goal is to help you enjoy the game a little bit more. So, thanks.
All right. Well, with that being said, obviously this is your opportunity. So, all the listeners that are out there, you have to understand that people look at me as a golf media professional, and the first question is, "Oh, so you're a great golfer?" And it's like, well, no. If I was a great golfer, I'd be playing on the tour. Absolutely. And they say, and I think the way the saying goes is, if you're not good enough to play on the tour, then you teach.
Right.
If you're
right,
not good enough to teach, you're in the golf media.
Exactly.
So you kind of have both. So for those folks that are listening out there, we're going to give them some free advice. Okay, this is what they get.
Yep.
So today, what is it that on National Golf Day?
Yes.
What is it that you can impart to the listeners out there that's going to change their game?
Well, everyone who I speak to, they're always looking for more distance, whether it be with their driver, their irons. They're always looking to hit the ball farther, and so. I like to say it's part Indian, part arrow. So it's, but for me, if when somebody in their pre-swing setup, it's very important because there are a couple power positions, and there's a couple things that you can do that's going to help you hit the ball farther. And my goal is to get you to hit the ball 15, 20 yards, 30 yards further, and it's usually even before you even make your golf swing. And so what I always work with people on is their grip, stance, and ball position. And so with their grip, what I've found is that they have what I call a death grip. And so they're squeezing the club so tight that their veins are popping out of their skin, and their hands are really they're nervous about hitting the ball, and their shoulders get tight and their wrists get tight. And so what I work with them is I work on loosening their grip, and so that's very important. And actually,
wasn't it said that it's supposed to be like you're holding a bird in your hand or something? Isn't there some sort of saying like that?
That's a good thing, and you know what? I've heard that before as well, but I don't know many people who hold birds in their hands. So I try to relate it to something they actually do. So what I do is I have them hold. I always would say, a tube of toothpaste. Don't squeeze all the toothpaste out of the tube. But the other way I like to do it is that I do it on a grip pressure scale. As one is the light. If you're holding a club in your hands right now, well, hopefully all of you are, since it's National Golf Day. If you're gonna hold the club in your hands and you were gonna squeeze it as tight as you possibly could, that would be a 10. And if you'd almost let go of the club, that would be a 1. And when you go to let go of the club, you should feel your wrist, all the tension go away with your wrist and your arms and your shoulders. And then what would happen is that your fingers, will hold onto the club, in a nice manner. There's a little bit of firmness in there, but the wrists have to be supple because the wrists are what hinge and what move and what speed up the club during the swing. So, having the correct grip pressure is so important, and that works, not only for power, but also for all your iron shots, for your chipping, for your putting, for your sand game. And so when I'm out on the course with people, I'm always working on that with them. And when I say soft hands, and I know a lot of the lessons I give, I think people might be tired of me saying soft hands, keep it soft. So it works right into your tempo. So what happens?
That's actually one of my 15 swing thoughts. Just to let you know.
Yeah, right. And sometimes it's just we try to eliminate all the swing thoughts, but that's just one of them that I think that works really well with people. And when they get up on the first tee and they have the driver in their hands, they get a little more relaxed and a little it's a little bit easier for them to swing. So when you have the grip, the proper grip pressure, and then when you put the grip in your hands, I always tell them you want to put it in your fingers and not in the, it's like that's where all the speed comes from, in your fingers. If you put your grip right up in your palm, what happens is that there's really no ability for you to hinge the club and to speed up the club so you can hit it farther. And so that's where it really plays in, because the golf swing is a lot of hinges and levers, and kind of make it simple. To get those proper hinging and levers, you have to have a relaxed grip pressure. The next thing I like to go to is also getting into a powerful stance. Okay, so, and this is for right-handed golfers. And if you're a left-handed golfer, just so Jerry's a lefty.
I'm a
so
lefty.
I'm going to have to
have a mirror so that you can see everything reversed.
Which is very, that's good, Dan, but I do use a lot of mirror work.
There's somebody right now driving in their car trying to translate all this to left-handed. So
exactly. So, just reverse this if you're a lefty now. But in a stance, if you're a right-handed golfer, folks, this is for right-handed golfers only. What you want to do is you want to have a stance that is under. You want to have your feet under your hips. You want to have your stance in a good athletic position. You don't want your feet. What happens when your feet get too far outside your hips? Then you start to sway. So you want to turn. So this is very important. Is that you want to have your feet right underneath your hips, and then lightly flex your knees, bend over from the waist, and then your arms can hang nice and loosely. And then what you want to do is that you want to have your right, obviously as a right-hand golfer, your right hand's lower than your left, and so on the grip. And so what happens is that means your right shoulder is lower than your left. So this is for a right-handed golfer, so your right shoulder is lower than your left. So what that's called is a little bit of spine tilt. And so when you tilt to the right, you get yourself positioned behind the golf ball. Okay, and so this from here with the driver, this is going to be a really good thing because then you can swing a little bit more up on the ball, which is going to launch the ball higher, which is going to carry the ball farther. So it's really something that
it sounds so easy when you explain it.
It's really, I just try to tell people, it's a simple game. It's really, if you keep all the swing thoughts out of it, and you try not to have a machete in your hands and try to hack the golf ball, and you focus on your grip and your stance, it's really
that's
good
where you got to start. So wait, I want to hear what your swing sounds like and what happens after you hit that perfect shot off the tee. All right, let's see if we can do that. No, we can't do that. All right, I was going to try because we recorded your swing.
Oh, jeez.
Okay. But all right, we'll have to save that maybe for another show. But that's okay. What we're going to do though is we're getting pretty close to our first break, and obviously or not obviously, one of our major sponsors for the show, our big sponsor, is the Jess Frank Golf Academy.
Thank you, Dan.
Did you know that?
That's news to me. Thank you very much.
Of course, the Jess Frank Golf Academy is the home of the playing lesson. And, of course, my co-host, Jess Frank, who for 15 years has been improving golfers' ball striking, consistency, and distance. He's also a PGA teaching professional and the owner of the Jess Frank Golf Academy, located in Boca Raton at the beautiful Boca Dunes Golf and Country Club. So if you're a seasoned golfer who's trying to break 80 for the first time, or an absolute beginner who has never held a golf club, Jess's passion is to help you play better golf and have a lot of fun while you're at it. But for a limited time only, new students who mention that you heard the Golf and Travel Show will receive a $25 Edwin Watts Golf gift shop gift card with the purchase of a series of lessons. To learn more about the services of the Jess Frank Golf Academy, call 561-213-8579. That's 561-213-8579. 8579 or visit jessfrankgolf.com. And obviously it'll be a lot easier when you're there with him on the golf course. So what we're going to do, though, also now is we're going to cut in a second or two to our first guest that we're going to have. And I didn't have a chance to mention all of our guests, but today we're going to have three guests, actually. First, we're going to have our good friend Debbie Weems, who is an expert on LinkedIn and LinkedIn training, which it's a very, very interesting story that she has to tell that really kind of relates to us in the show. Followed a little bit later in the show by Dr. Alan Miller, also known as Dr. Cruise. So that should be interesting. And Roxanne Steele from Carnival Cruise Lines is going to be joining us a little bit later in the show as well. So without any further ado, why don't we go ahead to Debbie, because she's already on the line from what I understand. So let's go ahead and talk to her. Debbie, are you with us?
Hi, how are you doing, Dan?
I'm doing great, Debbie. Thank you so much for calling into the show tonight.
Oh, you're very welcome, and y'all sound great.
Oh, thank you. That's very sweet.
Thanks, Debbie. We love you.
So let me explain briefly, from my perspective, exactly why we're having Debbie on the show, besides the fact that she provides a wonderful service and everybody needs to hear about it. But there's a personal connection here. A long time ago, several months ago, I decided that I was going to put this show together, and I wanted to find some local talent to work on the show with me. As I mentioned before, I am not a golf pro, and I get tired of people asking me for the golf tips, and I know just enough about travel to be dangerous, but it's not my career. So I went to Debbie, and I told her about this, and Debbie said to me, I know some guy that I recently met who is great. He's in Boca. He's a teaching pro. You got to meet this guy. And then she did the exact same thing when I needed to have somebody who was a travel expert, and she introduced me to Jerry. And all of it is through her expertise in networking and LinkedIn. So we have a very big soft spot for Debbie Weems right here. So first of all, thank you, Debbie, for hooking us all up and really putting the seeds of this show together so that everybody could benefit from the knowledge that we all have here. But why don't you explain a little bit from your perspective of how it is that you are so well networked and you know everybody, and in a moment's notice you can find them.
Well, thank you, and you're entirely welcome for the connection, and I was happy to do that. I will tell you, networking is nothing new, especially on the golf course. As you men know, it's one of the best places to do networking, and I think finally women are catching on. LinkedIn is the world's largest professional networking site on the Internet. So I've been an independent LinkedIn specialist for a little over a couple of years, and I've been networking all along through 20 years of nonprofit work and my background in Palm Beach County. So my database was already pretty robust when I started learning about LinkedIn. But LinkedIn enables people to develop their professional networks and basically take online connections and turn them into offline business. That's the whole gist of LinkedIn. So when you had a need for specific industry-type people, like Jeff Frank, which is Augustine, it was pretty simple and quick for me to do a search on my own connections on LinkedIn and actually pick and choose, because I have several from lots of industries. I have over 2,200 connections now. Many of them are in Palm Beach County and elsewhere. So it's all about keyword searching. And in LinkedIn, you can keyword search on your own connections, but you can also do the same thing on listings of other people's, of other connections' contacts, provided they're sharing them. So it's all about putting people together. And it was really quite fun to do that. And then do it again when you needed somebody from the travel industry with Terry. So totally my pleasure.
Well, it's funny because I had known you for a while before, and obviously I believed in the power of LinkedIn, and I sat through one of your training classes, and you know, it's one thing to believe in it, it's another thing to experience it, and to experience it in such a quick and effective method, you know, the way it just turned out. So I don't know about you and you know, how many success stories you have. I'm sure you have lots of them. But I found this just really amazing. I mean, it was just incredible, the power that you possess. Now, as long as it's National Golf Day today, Jess asked me if you could just relate a little bit about your golf background.
Thanks, Jeff.
I had to put you on the spot. Right? Oh no, yeah, okay. I just thought when we first met and what you talked about was pretty amazing, so that's why I wanted you to share it.
I'm sure. It's been in my family forever. My dad is George Weems, and it's a Scottish last name. Nobody can say it or pronounce it or spell it.
Well, why don't you spell it for us so that everybody knows how to spell your name now?
Well, it's Wemyss. And anyone that I run into down here, even remotely close to my age, when they tell me they're from New England, I immediately ask them if they play golf. And if they say, yes, I've played golf for years, I'll say, well, did you ever hear the name George Weems? Well, he ran the New England PGA for 23 years. And basically, that all started when I was in high school. So I kind of grew up on the game because he had been playing for years before that. And I'm sure if he could hear your comments, Dan, about people asking him all the time if he's a professional. No, he wasn't. But he had a pretty good handicap by the end of his career. But the fun part was when Jeff and I met at a networking event, and he told me what he did. I always start talking golf if people are in that for a career, because there's always some commonality somewhere. And sure enough, there are people that I've now coached through LinkedIn that are in the golf industry. I have a lot of connections that are from the LPGA. And I have some connections from up in the New England area with people that knew my dad. So here's the thing, and you'll cringe. 5 of us kids raised in a family of golf. It was all around the house. It was everything that my dad did, and my mom ended up working with him. So that just compounded everything that you would deal with golf was in my house. I don't care what room you were in. We were raised on the game, not playing it, but just being around it. And consequently, the 5 of us kids really never had a huge interest in playing the game. That's all we saw. That's all we talked about. That was so infused in us as kids that we kind of wanted to do any other sport.
Yeah, but you're getting over that fear of golf, right?
Oh, totally. Now, years later, my dad passed away. He passed away several years ago, and shortly thereafter, I thought, started running into some professional women that I knew that were playing golf, and all of a sudden I thought, yeah, I think there is something to this game, and I think I need to take it up because it is a business networking avenue that I just haven't explored. So, yes, I'm kicking myself just about every day.
Now, what's interesting, though, is that golf, to me, may be one of the oldest networking events. You know, you had mentioned that a lot of people, conduct business on golf, but on the golf course. Absolutely. But probably years and years and years and years ago, it was very, very commonplace. And these days, not to say people don't still do it. Obviously, a lot of people do. I always dreamed that would be the cushy job, where I have a job where I'm closing deals on the golf course every day. Unfortunately, I never got that job, but now, of course, social media and LinkedIn have kind of replaced some of that networking that's done face-to-face, that's done on the golf course. I know in my day job, I have a lot of offices in California. The traffic is just brutal. To go to a networking event is just not always so simple. So doing it at the comfort of your desk on your computer is just a whole new world.
Well, it is, but, I'm seeing it come full circle myself. As someone who had a late interest in the game, I'm just getting started. Thank you, Jeff.
Yeah. By the way, Debbie, you have a very that's right. You have a very nice swing, and we're going to have to get together again soon.
We will, and I have reconnected with some friends from LPGA, and I went to the Honda Classic last year. Went to the Executive Women's Day at the Honda Classic, and that's when the mix of social media, golf, and networking and women came together for me. It was a very exciting day. A lot of people had been invited to that event via social media. Of course, there ticket price attached because it was a day-long event, but it was terrific. There were some great, speakers, workshops. The whole thing was geared towards showing women how to get golf into their networking game. And it was really great. I'm going to participate again in February. And, I really think that a lot of the networking is going to continue on the golf course. I think how you get people to the courses, it's like Seth's having some of his events that he's had that are geared for women. And he's putting it out on Facebook. And I help promote it on LinkedIn and so forth and so on. So it does all come together. It's just going to speed up the process, I believe.
All right. Now, for the LinkedIn part, obviously, if people want to learn how to play the golf game, we know we have the Jess Frank Golf Academy to take care of that. But if people want to play the LinkedIn game, what's the best way for them to learn how to do it, especially folks that haven't gotten in yet and it's been around for a while and they are a little bit nervous to jump in there? How can you help them?
They can contact me. I really prefer people to look me up on LinkedIn. There is a whole lot more information about me on my profile that's open to the public than there is right now on my website, which is being reworked. They can go online and they can look into some. I do encourage my clients to go online and check out some webinars about LinkedIn. But I have a number of ways to coach people. One-on-one, I've been doing that for a few years. I do virtual coaching. I've got almost 400 individual clients now in 6 different countries, and there is a need for what I'm doing. People want to learn how to use LinkedIn, not just be on it. And when they learn how to use it, they can learn how to do exactly what I did to get you 3 together and to put other people together. And basically the whole site is geared to help you have the most professional presence on the Internet and increase your visibility for yourself and your business, and then create a marketing tool. Excuse me. LinkedIn is a great marketing tool.
Okay, so the best
number of ways to do that.
So the best way is to just look for Debbie Weems on LinkedIn, do a search, or you also have a phone number if someone wants to give you a call if they've got a question, wants to find out when your next little clinic is. We'll use the word clinic because we use that in golf.
I've got that impossible name to spell. So again, it's WEMYSS, and my phone number is 561-444-2265.
Awesome.
And they can call that number, 561-444-2265, or they can look me up on LinkedIn. And the company name is DW Consulting solutions.
Awesome, and there's no better testimonial than the three of us to show the power of LinkedIn. So thank you so much, Debbie. It was great to have you on the show, and thanks for hooking us all up.
You're very welcome, and you have a great night.
Alrighty, thank you.
Cinderella story, out of nowhere, a former greenskeeper now about to become